What is going on? We are live at Sex, Guns, and Video Games, a brand new podcast hosted by former U.S. Army veteran Smallville Will and myself, Special Ed. So, welcome to the show and welcome Smallville Will. What's up, buddy?
What's happening?
So, for those of you who've never listened before to a podcast, here's how it works. You generally have two people that have known each other for a long time, and they sit down and they decide to host a show together. For Smallville Will and I, this is our first time actually speaking. This is our first conversation. So we are going to learn a little bit more about each other than we ever thought possible, correct?
Yep.
All right, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man. I did the Army thing for 15 years. I don't know, man. I'm just a regular dude that gets into a lot of things just basically on knee-jerk reactions. You know, I don't really plan too much. I just kind of find something that interests me, and then I go in full throttle.
So tell me, I know that you were in the Army for 15 years, but did you join right out? Were you one of those guys that did it right from high school?
Sort of. I was supposed to attend UCLA, but one of the drawbacks of going to an in-state university, I was living in California at the time. One of the drawbacks of going to an in-state university, especially if you do a lot of less than favorable things in that state, is your past usually has a way of catching up with you. So, all that nonsense I did in high school caught up with me, and UCLA was like, UCLA basically treated me the way the NFL is kind of treating Colin Kaepernick right now.
Hold on.
So I was like, okay. And then I ended up running across an Army recruiter, and the dude was like, look, man, we could get you in. You know, what else you got going on? Now I was looking at the options. It was, give some time to the Army, get a good job, get paid, or possibly wind up dead or in jail. I mean, that was a no-brainer.
I think the best salesmen in the country are not working for like high-tech companies. They're actually employed by the U.S. Army.
Yeah, they are. I was told a lot of I don't want to call them lies. I'd say embellishments when I joined.
Well,
but
when my brother and I were in school, I was a senior and he was in college. The guy used to come to our house quite a bit, and we of course, being WWF wrestling fans, we would just call him Sergeant Slaughter, and we'd be like, "Oh no, Sergeant Slaughter's at the door! Oh no, somebody get it!" and he'd come in, he'd show us all these brochures, and I was, I was like, even though I was in high school, I was already like a lawyer back then. I was like, so. How do you know where you're going to be assigned? And if I only want to live in San Diego, can you guarantee me a San Diego post? And he's like, oh, absolutely. Wherever you want to go is where we'll put you.
Yeah, what they don't tell you, though, is they'll put you there, but you're not going to stay there. But I got lucky. I was one of those lucky guys. I spent my whole career at one duty station.
And where was that?
Is at Fort Bragg.
Oh, in North Carolina.
Yeah, the thing about Fort Bragg, though, man, is there's a lot of like specialized skill sets that kind of qualify you to go to Fort. Well, back in the day, it did, and when you kind of achieve a few of those skill sets, Fort Bragg usually tends to try to keep you.
Were you interested in guns before you got into the Army?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was like the hardcore California liberal. I didn't like guns. I didn't want to learn about guns. My parents, both of them, they were working for LAPD at the time, and they were like trying to teach myself and my little brother about firearm safety and stuff like that, just in case we need to grab their gun, in that rare off chance that something happens. And I was just my little brother was all into it. I was like, get this thing away from me, man. I can't stand this.
Now, So you grew up in L.A. I didn't know that.
Yeah, kind of, man. I moved around a lot. I didn't really develop any kind of stable roots until I was about 10 years old,
And
and
where were you living then?
all over the place. I was living with my mom, my biological mom at the time, and she was married to a Marine, and we bounced all over the globe. And then she ended up leaving him, and she went back to California, is where she's from. She ended up leaving him and going back to California, and I followed, and I was about 10, 11 years old, and from there on, that's kind of where I stayed at.
And was that in Los Angeles?
It was Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Riverside County, Orange County. The typical places where people, where you'll see. I call them movie and TV cities. L.A., Orange County, Riverside County, places like that. You'll see those on like TV and stuff. But don't pay attention to TV because they usually get it wrong.
So you do 15 years in the Army, and you get out. And didn't you tell me that you work in video games, or you did work in video games?
Yeah, I was a storyboard writer and a programmer for like, it was a young upstart company. Like, these guys made, like, they specialized in phone apps and stuff.
Gotcha.
And we got into we kind of let our fandom for comic books and fighting games take control, and we started working on a nonprofit that depicted the Marvel Comics versus DC Comics thing. And that's still kind of going on. When we first started it, we were all in, tailpipe smoking, but now, we kind of tapered it back a little bit. And, whenever we come up with ideas, we'll just kind of get together and throw some stuff and, put things together and see what we got. But,
do you guys do you guys have an app on the App Store?
They do. I don't get paid from the apps because
Okay.
I didn't work on the phone apps with them.
Right.
But, I basically just got like a salary because I was just giving them time,
Yeah. Cool. I briefly spent some time with Acclaim, which was Mortal Kombat was their big game, and I worked on a game called Shadow Man. I don't know if you ever played it. It was.
Oh yeah, man, I love Shadow Man.
Do you? Okay, all right, man.
Oh my God, dude, that was one of the man.
That was my game. That was the game that I was assigned at
What?
Acclaim when I worked there. So I was a combination of tester and some small work on helping out with level design and stuff like that. But that was one of my many dabbles that I've done. So I don't think I got the credit on that game because I left before I had a possible incidence of violence in the workplace that led to me leaving there.
Yeah.
But when somebody messes with you at a job, especially when you're like the newest guy on, I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about that. We'll talk more about stuff like that a little later. But I wanted to get a little background on you and your thing. And you have kids, Will?
Yeah, I have a daughter.
How old is she?
She is 10 going on 25.
Yeah, I hear you. My daughter is 7 going on 17, so I get it. Yeah, it's crazy. And you don't have a boy then? You don't have a son?
Nah, not yet. Hopefully in the near future.
Got it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I have a 12-year-old son who's playing video games. Pretty much, if I'm not on him, he's gonna play video games 24 hours a day. He'd be.
Oh, dude,
I don't know if you heard about that kid who died. Did you hear about the kid who was playing World of Warcraft or something, and he was playing for 24 hours. He was live streaming, and then he said he was going to get up to go to the bathroom, and then he actually just collapsed and died.
Yeah, that was he was doing that for a charity.
Yeah. But that would be my son. If I didn't make him go to bed, if I didn't make him eat, if I didn't make him, go outside and do something, my son would be dropping dead on the floor after 24 hours.
Yeah, man, my daughter, man, she's the same way. She's been playing Minecraft and the Disney Infinity games.
Oh, with the little characters you have to put on the little platform.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, her thing though is she doesn't play the game. she'll go in there and she just builds levels,
Right.
and then she'll upload the level to the server or whatever they have, and then let other people play the level that she just built, and she will stay on that thing all day long. If like she will die of starvation before she'll get off of that. I'm like, hey, you gotta come eat. She's
Yeah.
okay, Dad. Hold on. I'm like, oh, well, here we go, another 15 minutes.
It's weird, all games are like a time suck, but a game that kind of has like a start and finish, like if you're playing a first person shooter where you have like a capture the flag, you have that like moment where after, playing for 10 minutes or whatever, you have that victory or that defeat, and you kind of like it gives you that break to put it down, go get something to eat. Minecraft, there's no break, if
Nah,
you can fend off that little guy who tries to kill you the whole game, then pretty much you're just playing and playing and playing and building, and it never ends.
yeah, that's one of those games that well, I think the reason why they did that is to kind of appease to like the younger crowd. Get kids into younger kids into video games and stuff like that. Um,
It's not really like Lego, because Lego, you buy a set and when you put it together, you're done. It's almost like if somebody gave you like a dump truck pulled up and just dumped like a million Lego pieces on your front lawn. It's more like that. Like you'll never actually finish building anything.
oh yeah, I would definitely be out there all day long.
Oh man. So you how many guns do you own? Because I know you're kind of a gun guy.
Whew, man, I can't even give you a number.
I mean, guns are pretty expensive. My brother's like, "Oh, I just bought this gun, and between the gun and the ammo, it's $1,000." I mean, they're not, it's not cheap. I know you can get, like a cheap handgun for like $300 online, but generally speaking, if you're buying,
Yeah.
AR-15s and things like that, you're gonna be spending upwards of $1,000, $1,500, right?
Well, the thing with ARs, no, pretty much any center fire rifle in general,
Hmm.
um, nowadays, what a lot of people are doing is they're actually going in to buy the build kits, so that way they can like build them themselves.
And modify them,
Yeah.
right?
And what I tell people, like there are ARs out there that, like, if you just buy them off the shelf, that are just bar none 100% like golden. You don't have to do anything to them. But what most guys do is they'll spend about five, six, $700 on a rifle, and then go out and spend about two, three, $400 on stuff to put on the rifle, and then the stuff that they replace, they trash it. So they're throwing away like $200 or $300 worth of accessories that the rifle came with. So I'm like, I tell guys like, look, man, it's cheaper to build it, because what you're going to do is you're going to look at the parts, you're going to build it, and you're going to build it right the way you want it the first time, and you don't have to go in there and forking over dough to replace parts and stuff like that. Like one of the like it's like buying a Smith and Wesson MP Sport. It's like a bare bones entry level rifle, and those usually run between $500 to $800 depending on where you're shopping. So these guys buy these guns, and then they go out and spend another $50 on a handrail or a 4-end grip, and then they'll spend another $50 on the stock, and then they'll spend another $50 on a pistol grip. Then they're out there spending, upwards of $100 on some Magpul sights, and then it starts adding up. Whereas if you just spent the $300 on a build kit, you could have built the gun and then just went out and bought that stuff extra, right off the bat. So I mean, you can put together a really sweet shooting rifle for about $600-700 without having to throw anything away or replace anything, because you build it right the first time in accordance to how you want it. You know what I mean?
I hear you. So, with 15 seconds to go, we're going to wrap things up right here and say that if you enjoyed what you hear us talking about, video games, guns, and other guy stuff like that, please subscribe to our podcast. Will?
Yep.
We'll
It was
talk.
Lovely talk.